What's up, everybody? Thank you for listening to Classic Arcade. My name's Chris, and I'm here today with.
This is Stef.
And today we're going to be talking about HBO's Lovecraft Country. The first episode was entitled Sundown. This was a very good episode. This show has some pretty good acting in the show. The main actor, played by Jonathan Majors, his name's Atticus. He plays the character that goes by the name of Atticus Freeman. You have Journey Smollett. She plays a character, Lydia. Then you have his Atticus' uncle, played by Courtney Vance. His uncle goes by the name of George. We haven't been able to see. We weren't able to see Michael Williams, played by. We haven't been able to see Michael Williams, who plays Montrose Freeman, Atticus' father, in the first episode. He was good in The Wire, so I am interested in seeing him in the show. Real good show. I like the fact that I like the acting in the show. I really like the acting. I like the storyline. The thing that I really like about the storyline is that it is H.P. Lovecraft. You can tell that it's stuck true to what H.P. Lovecraft was talking about. Even though H.P. Lovecraft was a dickhead racist, but we are just talking about the body of work and what has transpired throughout history with his work. So this is a good take on Lovecraft's work. I know it was written by.
Lovecraft was. Why do you say that? Was he racist or something?
Yeah. So Lovecraft, he was a known racist. He was known to just not be a fan of black people. I mean, he can kiss my ass. I mean, I care less. But he was known not to be a fan of black folks. But so surprisingly, Lovecraft Country is predominantly based on black affairs or things that have happened to black people throughout history. It kind of does stick true to a lot of the stories that black people from the past have told throughout history about scenarios that they have been through. So I think.
I thought you was gonna say we tell stories of octopus people or something.
Oh yeah. No, that would be funny though. But they as far as the stories of sundown towns and things like that. A lot of black people, they couldn't, if they are older, they can tell you some stories about some sundown towns. So it was interesting to see that on screen like that, on the television. It was pretty interesting to see how dramatic those situations actually were for black people, to see the tenseness in the situations and how. What can I say? How evil the people of the town were, the white people of the town were. It was kind of
sundown towns.
Yeah, so the sundown towns,
was like from dusk till dawn or something, or like sundown.
Yeah,
it's sundown where you can't be out in black after the sun to go down.
Yeah, if you're black, when the sun goes down, you want to find yourself in a place that's better suitable for you. You know what I'm saying?
That's messed up.
Yeah, that's pretty messed up. You got some pretty, but like you just said, that's messed up. So I really like how Lovecraft Country shows and sheds lights on situations like that. Situations that, in my opinion, I've heard of, but I've never seen on television. So for people who are fans of Lovecraft, maybe they might pick up a little history from watching this show. It was good. I like this. I like the story, and I like how it built itself up to showing the monsters and the creatures in the show. I like the way it kind of transitioned directly from basically the racism from the white folks, and it was really tense. Then it transpired into the situation with them being in the woods, and then the monsters came out, and then it was just crazy. It was wow. What did you think about it?
I thought that the episode started out really interesting. because you had that World War II. Was that Vietnam, right? Not World War II. It was Vietnam, right?
I think, yeah,
Or World War II.
I believe,
Vietnam.
I don't know.
World War II. That wasn't Vietnam. It was. But it was a war going on,
Yeah.
and it was pretty interesting how they had. It was like sci-fi introduced into it early on, and you had different references going on. So the show was pulling from other science fiction authors besides Lovecraft in the opening sequence, where you had the Princess of Mars, which was written by Edgar Rice Burroughs, and that was when you had the the spacecraft and the young lady coming out of it, and the Roswell UFO incident. I believe was another one of them. So I think that was interesting the way it started out, and you had the science fiction, and then it went back. Then it goes into the story. You learn about this character who's living in this time that is a terrible time to be alive, where you can't come out in towns when the sun is down. And so I like but I also felt like it wasn't too. It was really good and handled well, the way they depicted the racist elements, but still making it entertaining, and still like it has humor at the same time as the show went on, and they got on the moments where they had to leave the coffee shop or restaurant or something, right?
Oh yeah. They had to leave the restaurant based on the fact that it was they got the word that it was a sundown town.
And then I think it was dramatic. It was handled dramatically, like the way it built up to it. I think the way Atticus was asking his uncle why they paint the White House white, and then you get the reveal of the floor tile, and then at the same time, the floor tile is covering up like some burnt markings, so it's like a new floor tile. And at the same time, his girlfriend runs out, and it's dramatic. But the way she shouts.
Is that his girlfriend?
Is that his girlfriend?
I don't know.
Is that his girlfriend? All right. Well, I'm just making.
I mean, they could be.
They could be.
But I don't know.
No.
But I don't know. Remember the guy in the house? That was her brother. Okay, that was her brother.
Okay.
So, but I'm sure they're gonna eventually.
All right, but the young lady. All right, let's just say the young lady. But when she ran out the back, it was dramatic, right? But it's saying, after she overheard the guy telling the police officer or something that, oh no, I didn't serve him or anything like that. Yeah. And after what you did to the last woman or something, whoever her name was. Yeah. But when she ran out, it was dramatic, but it was funny at the same time. The way she said it. Yeah. So I think the show handled that well.
She said we gotta get the hell out of here. We gotta get the fuck out of here. It was one of them, but it was funny. It was funny, and it fit the tone. Especially for her character.
Yeah, so that was like so the show had other moments like that where it's dramatic and humor was handled pretty well. And then once they introduced the horror stuff, because that was like, to me, that took the show to another level for like the viewing pleasure, because at the beginning you had the sci-fi things, and we saw the did they have Cthulhu at the beginning?
Yeah, Cthulhu.
They had him at the beginning,
yeah.
Right? But he wasn't scary, right?
No, they didn't. I mean,
the scary stuff didn't come on later, right?
Yeah, Cthulhu wasn't scary. Cthulhu was really just, it was.
I mean, like, was that Jackie Robinson or somebody?
Yeah, I think Jackie Robinson came out.
Yeah, and Split. Yeah.
So it was. The beginning to end is a very good show. If you're into sci-fi and history, I think this is a good show for you. Because I don't think the history in this show is tweaked at all, not one bit. So, and when you roll in the fact that it's Lovecraft country with that, I think that it's a win, especially in today's age. It's a really good show.
And Lovecraft didn't write, like, the show is based on some of his lore, but the book Lovecraft Country was written by somebody else, right?
Yeah.
I can't think. I don't know the author's name right now, but going into the show, like, what did you like? What were your expectations going into watching this show? I mean, you know that Jordan Peele was associated with it, having that name there. What were your expectations?
Well, being a fan of Jordan Peele, to Get Out, I thought it was going to be a good show. I just knew it was going to be good based on the fact that I looked at it like this. You got Jordan Peele, and you're giving him the ability to talk about Black history and give him a crack at, some sci-fi CGI stuff. So I felt as though with those put together, I felt like it would be a good show. And the first episode was, it was what I was expecting. What did you think? What were your expectations?
I thought that it was really. I don't want to say I had low expectations, but I didn't have the highest expectations, and that's because I saw Get Out, and it was really well done. It was a really good movie, and I really enjoyed it. And then I saw Us, and I went to that with these real high expectations, and it was a good movie, but it wasn't as great as Get Out was, as like a cultural sort of, I guess, hitting the culture at the right time and having the impact. It wasn't as solid of a movie to me. It felt like some things could have been cut, or maybe less explored or more explored.
Yeah.
So that was like the second one that I saw from him, and then there's been like trailers coming out for Candyman or something that he's associated with.
Yeah, and the trailers for Candyman look good too. So
the trailers, and that's directed by Nia DaCosta, right?
Yeah.
So the trailers look good, but then we talking about like television series. Well, then he got his first series. I think it was The Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
And I had real high expectations for that because I'm a fan of science fiction, and who hasn't watched? I'm sure there's some people out there, but I like The Twilight Zone, the original series, and so I was really hoping that Jordan Peele was gonna do something really interesting with the reboot or the continuation, whichever it is. But it didn't live up to my hype, and so going into this one, I didn't have the highest of expectations. I was excited because it was Jordan Peele, and I'm a fan of several Lovecraft stories, so I also I thought it was interesting. Like I was interested in seeing what the first review said. I would say that much.
Okay.
But I watched the show, and so it surpassed my expectations, which I'm happy to say.
Yeah, it's a really good show. I have to say that it's a good show. I'm definitely waiting to see the next episode. This episode, Sundown episode was really good.
What was your favorite part of the episode?
My favorite part of the episode, I will have to keep it real and 100. I'm going to say that I'm not going to say the obvious, which was the monsters in the woods. I think my favorite part of it is actually the way that they tell the history, Black history. So my favorite part would have to be when they were trying to get out of the sundown town, and they were trying to tell the sheriff they could be out of the town in about a couple of minutes, and the sheriff said the only way you can get out of town in those many minutes is if you're speeding. And if you're speeding, that means I'm going to have to pull you over. So they were very nervous, trying to figure out how they could come up with a plan to get out of town. And they eventually came up with a plan to get out of town, and it was a very dramatic scene. So it was good. And then the Cthulhu scene in the beginning, the way they were able to bring that whole what they're trying to convey to life in the beginning of the opening of the show. What was your favorite part of it?
Probably the scene in the woods. That was my favorite part because I wasn't expecting that. Like, the whole show was done really well, and I was in there like a passenger on this ride through this time. You know what I mean? Through
Yeah.
this time capsule. Like, oh man, Sundown Town. Oh, this is a good show. All right.
Yeah.
But then once it got to I'd already seen the Cthulhu stuff, and I had no idea how it was going to come back into play into the rest of the show. You know?
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe it's like he might just, when he goes to sleep, he just dreams some weird stuff every now and then, and then it's back to like the 60s or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was going to be like that. I'd been fine with that because it was going good so far.
Yeah.
But then once they were in the woods, it was like, it was really good. And those guys that were harassing him, you know.
Yeah, the police officer.
Yeah, it all kind of went like, you know, like a big full circle, you know.
Yeah.
It was like they were all there. It was dramatic. And then all of a sudden, you're like, oh man, they're not gonna make it out. What's gonna happen? And then you see an arm flying.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I can't wait till the next episode.
Yeah. That scene was very. It was dramatic, and it was very dramatic, and it was very upbeat. That scene right there did not. It did not go. It had not one dull moment. That scene from beginning to end is what you want to see if you are a fan of horror. It was top notch. And if you're out there and you say, well, everyone has their own opinion, but if you say, oh, that scene was okay, then you're lying, because that was a very good scene from beginning to end. Because one thing I want to point out about the scene is when the police officer got bit and he was in the cabin with with Atticus and them. You were trying to figure out, why isn't this guy dying? His arm is bit. You know, basically all.
Yeah, you can see his chest was exposed, right? Like the meat in it, and it was like fresh blood sitting on top. It looked disgusting.
It looked nasty.
He's like, yeah, that thing killed several of my officers.
Yeah, he's just sitting there talking. So you're trying to figure out, how is this guy still talking? Mm-hmm. And then Atticus' uncle says to him, "What happens when you get?" He says to Atticus, he says, "What happens when you get bit by a vampire?" And right as soon as he said that, the sheriff started to change into one of the monsters. And yeah, that scene right there was top notch. I mean, it was a good scene. It was a good scene that went right along with. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it was well done. What's your, I guess, prediction for next episode? Like, what do you think we're gonna see in the next episode?
Well, at the end of the Sundown episode, you got to see Atticus and his uncle. You got to see them. They went to they ended up at a house, and once they ended up at the house, some people opened the door and said, I think they said "Welcome home" or something like that. So I think that we're going to go into everything that he's searching for, and I think we're going to get a lot of more of the Lovecraft.
What is he searching for? Because I was a little, I watched it a few times.
I don't know, what is he
searching? But isn't he looking for his father, right?
Yeah, he's looking for his father.
So the story is his father disappeared, he went missing?
Yeah.
His father went missing, right?
Yeah.
And Atticus is looking for him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the father wrote him a letter or something, right? At the beginning, wasn't he reading a letter from his father at one point?
I think so.
Right?
I'm not sure.
Okay. But he's looking for his father.
Yeah.
Right. And then the uncle say something about you were still looking into those things your father was obsessed with about the mother's family or something, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Right. So the father looking into something, and there's some unclaimed heritage or something, right?
Yeah.
And so
the unclaimed heritage. That's what he's looking for.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then it ends, and he's like, "Welcome home." He opens the door, right?
Yeah.
But that's the same. Isn't that same silver car out there that was helping them like throughout the episode?
Yeah.
Like that one, helped them like when they were being chased, right?
Well, there is that scene when Atticus was in his apartment and he's on the phone with a lady. They don't say who the lady is, but I'm curious to see if that's the same lady that got out of the silver Rolls Royce. I wonder if those are tied together.
But she doesn't answer the door at the end and say "Welcome home," right? It's another guy.
It's another guy. Yeah.
Okay.
It's another guy. But she seems like she might be trying to get his attention or something.
Don't they? All right. No, I might be mistaken. But when the silver car was riding along and it cut in between when it got in between Atticus' car and the cops, right?
Yeah.
And it turned real quick.
Yeah.
Didn't it like have a force field? Like it didn't get hit. It just stopped and it flipped, right?
Yeah, it just had a force field. And I know that that was pretty cool. So I wonder. So that would bring up a whole nother type of thing. Like, are they into their own style of like magic or something like that? So
right, it could be that.
Yeah, like so you had to try to pinpoint exactly what's going on with that. But I'm interested in figure out what's going on with that and who.
And don't isn't there when those things show up, right? Which those monsters. Now I've read a couple Lovecraft stories, and I was familiar with the Cthulhu at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
But these other things, like when when Atticus was talking to her, right? And they're by the woods, right?
Yeah.
And they hear the noise, right? And she says, "What's that?" And he's like, "A shoggoth," right? And then she's like, "What's that?" And he's like, "Oh, a shambling creature or something," right?
Yeah.
And that's a direct reference. Like that's straight from Lovecraft, right?
Okay.
From I think At the Mountain of Madness, right?
Okay.
However, I didn't see any shoggoths actually attacking them, right? Not from the description of what a shoggoth is, right?
Okay.
It's like a big, tubular thing.
Okay, I got you.
But these things were more like beasts, right? They were beasts with a bunch of eyes on them, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So, I'm not familiar with them. Do you know if they came from, like, are those a show invention or are those something that came from, like, one of Lovecraft's stories or something like that?
I'm not 100% sure. I'm really not 100% sure. I actually have never. Let me tell you, if I've read anything Lovecraft, I've never heard of those things. I've heard of.
Cause I was wondering because they look, they look interesting.
Yeah.
And then they even get called back, right?
Yeah, they actually get called back they get called back. Let's see.
Do you think the people in the silver car called them back?
Well, yeah.
Or was it somebody else or something else? Because something called them back.
Yeah, something called them back.
So somebody's controlling them things.
Yeah, somebody's controlling them. So that would kind of.
You think Atticus can control them? Maybe in a future episode or something? Are they saying like that's his birthright or heritage or something?
Well, that could be a part of his heritage. I could see that. I could actually see that.
I mean, I'm just conjecturing, spitballing, but
yeah, that sounds like something that So if it gets down to the part that the people in the Rolls Royce were the ones that called those things back, then I'm pretty sure maybe we will see Atticus with some magical powers, maybe controlling those things or something like that.
So next episode, then we gotta look forward to. Who are these people, right? They just said welcome home.
Yeah.
What's the new, like, the dynamic is going to change. I mean, because they're like welcome home, but they're also surrounded by sundown towns, right?
Yeah.
So they're like deep in enemy's territory, right? Yeah. So it's like treacherous territory. And just because they home, I mean, when they go out to the store, they still not going to be looked at as a black person out when the sun about to go down,
Yep, that's
true.
So
I think that whole.
But with those people with that big house, I think they might be protected. I think they might have a lot of turkey in there. So I don't think they might have to go out. I think they might have. But that is interesting though because they are surrounded by. But you got to think they are around a bunch of white folks.
Right.
So maybe the white folks might have a little bit of pool in the towns or something, get them around or something like that.
You think so?
Yeah. So, but I do think that they will end up having to travel on their own without the white folks. I don't think we've finished seeing them up against facing racism. I think that's going to be a big part of the show in Lovecraft Country, just based on the time, the year that it's set in. So I mean, shit, that was a racist year. So. I think we're going to see a lot of racism, a lot of monsters, and, a good story. I'm looking forward to the next episode because I'm a fan of these type of shows. I really haven't seen a show like this. Well, no one has seen a show like this, but this show really kind of, speaks to me, so I'm a big fan of of it, and I'm a big fan of the first episode.
And I'm looking forward to the next episode. I'm definitely looking forward to it. It was a really good episode. And in addition to Jordan Peele, you have I think J.J. Abrams somewhere involved in the show.
Okay, yeah.
And he did Lost, all of those seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah. Mm-hmm.
He brought, in my opinion, like the Mission Impossible franchise back to life.
Okay.
And so, I mean, it's to me it's a win-win.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you have Jordan Peele, his sprinkles, his touches, his, what he could do with race, make it current in a way that's understandable, like he did in Get Out, right?
Yeah.
And make it humorous at the same time. He's doing the same thing here.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also have somebody else that can make real good TV. Yeah. And they're making great TV.
Yeah.
And
So. Yeah. It's a good show. I suggest everybody. It's a good show. I like the tone of it. It's a very good tone. So I suggest if you haven't seen it, if you have not seen the show, make sure you go ahead and check it out.
And we get to look forward to episode 2, and hopefully that's another great episode. And regardless of whether it is or not, we'll be back to talk about it on the next podcast.
All right. Yeah.